And we have our first callers of the night. We got our first caller. He is the host of Rutgers at the Voice of College Football. Well, co-host with Gabriel Pickup. Uh, Monday nights or Tuesday nights, but either way, you're going to see some great magic from this man, Adam Lamparello.
Hey
How you
guys,
doing
how are you
tonight, big
doing?
buddy? Oh, we're
Hey,
doing good.
Adam.
How you doing tonight?
All right, thanks so much for having me on. After a long day, it's good to talk about Alabama football. I just have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
So, do you think that DeBeor is the right guy for Alabama? And if not, who do you think the next coach should be?
I
That second
think
question is
DeBoer.
really hard.
I think DeBoer's the right guy. I mean, we're fine right now with him.
I think
Yeah,
DeBoer's the right guy. I mean, I am concerned with, like Bama's position right now because it is unstable. I feel like his tenure is vastly going to be determined on this season because, if they have a good year this year, then he's probably going to be fine and they're going to be able to, build on it and get back towards the top of the elite of college football. But if they have a bad year, then I don't know if he can recover. And it's such an uncertain year because we don't know the quarterback. A lot of roster turnovers, just a lot of questions. Ryan Grubb, that's a positive, as we talked about, I think, last week. But just a lot of uncertainty. So if he has a bad year, then I'm concerned. And on that question, I mean, the second question, I don't know. I mean, because it's really hard to think of who would be the next coach when, Kalen DeBeor is only going into his second year. He's not on the brink of being fired yet. And there could be other hires made at other jobs that open, like maybe this year that would take potential candidates out of the race. So it would be hard to figure out.
yeah. When I think about last season, my first concern is that, well, let me say this: DeBeor is an excellent coach. There's no question about that, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. What I worry about is the culture at Alabama. I think Nick Saban had a very strict, regimented culture for a reason, and it yielded a lot of national championships. I worry that DeBoer might be too lax. The second thing I'll say is this: when I look back on 2024, in his defense, I think when he came in, I think that Jalen Milroe had the team, and I think that Milroe told DeBoer that unless Milroe starts, half the team's going to leave. And so it kind of handicapped DeBoer in that he really couldn't make any quarterback change or have a meaningful quarterback competition if he wanted to. So that affected what he could do with his offensive playbook. And ultimately, we saw the results of that. Last thing I'll say is this: when I look ahead to 2025, he doesn't have to deal with Milroe and the rest of them and all of those politics, but he does have to deal with a quarterback competition. And my feeling is that Ty Simpson, although I've heard the coaches say he was more talented than Milroe, they often said he didn't have the intangibles or the leadership qualities that Milroe had. And when I saw him play, I got that same kind of vibe. Now, I don't know if Keelan Russell coming in as a true freshman is going to be able to adjust to the SEC quickly enough. But I think we not only have a quarterback competition, but potentially a quarterback problem. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I feel like if it could be like the Florida situation again, where Todd Simpson's like Graham Mertz, Keelan Russell could be like Lagway, where if Keelan Russell works out, then and they have a good season, like then DeBoer, he's good to go. Like his future is secure. Everybody's satisfied if they go like 11-1, but if he doesn't pan out immediately, and then Todd Simpson has to be the guy, and they struggle, then there's going to be a lot of problems because you don't want to lose the fan base. That is the biggest problem among even non-blue blood programs in football or basketball. We're seeing quicker than ever. Look at Wake Forest basketball, Jackson. Wake Forest basketball is done with Steve Forbes. They're done. They're done. What's Wake Forest done since Chris Paul and Tim Duncan? Nothing. They're irrelevant, right? They should be happy they're even in the bubble conversation, right? But they're done. They don't care that they beat Duke last year. They don't care that they had some success. The fact that they keep choking before the tournament, they want a new coach. Who are they going to get? I don't know. But you're seeing it more programs than ever. This is going on. And if Alabama has a rough year of 7-5 next year, DeBeor might have just already lost the fan base. That's what cannot happen. And the thing is, I will say, when it comes to Alabama, is that since the team is not as good anymore, like it was under Nick Saban, you could afford. People don't realize. A lot of people do realize, but in hindsight, they don't realize actually how bad it was. But Nick Saban had a lot of quarterbacks who weren't good. They were not good. Most of them were not good, but they won anyway. Ty Simpson, if he was under Nick Saban's best teams, could probably win 11 games easy.
Yeah,
he has the team around him, but Alabama doesn't have that anymore. So you have to make up for that lack of other positional power. You have to compensate for a better quarterback, which Alabama doesn't have right now, unless Kalen Russell emerges. And that's the problem. You don't have as good of a team to have a mid quarterback be your guy. You can't have that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think last year, for politics reasons, there wasn't really a QB competition. But the year before that, there was. And Ty Simpson couldn't beat out Milroe. And when I saw Ty Simpson this year, yeah, maybe he has the tools, but does he have the intangibles? I'm not so sure. So here's what I'm predicting. I think that this year, Alabama's going to go 9-3 and barely miss the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And my question for you guys is, if they do, should DeBeor remain as coach at Alabama? My answer would be probably yes.
If they go 9-3, specifically if Kalen Russell starts and he shows a lot of promise but has mistakes because of his youth, then I think then DeBeor is going to be fine. Because people be like, well, next year's going to be better because he's going to be a year older, more experienced. We can maybe build around him more, whatever. And then they would do a lot better. That would be the mindset. But if they go 9-3 with Ty Simpson, I think that it's a little bit worse for DeBeor. I know people be like, well, Kalen Russell next year. But if Kalen Russell doesn't play at all, then that's going to make people be like, well, if he couldn't beat out Ty Simpson, then he must not be ready or good or whatever. So either scenario, 9-3, he's not being fired. He's gonna get another year. If he does worse than that, specifically 7-5 or worse, then it's bad. 8-4 is not good.
If there's like a major scandal where behind the scenes,
obviously,
then there's talk of them getting fired.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that I'd probably give him 4 years unless something drastic happens. But last thing I'll say, guys, is this, and I hate to say this, watch out for Auburn this year. I think Auburn's going to be
especially when we go to Jordan-Hare this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when Auburn's been bad, it's been tough for Bama the last few times in that place.
Yeah.
Note to self when doing a parlay, bet on Auburn to beat the spread, but bet on the money line on Bama.
Sounds good to me. Guys, great analysis. Thanks for having me on, and great show as always. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Adam.
We appreciate you, Adam.